How's
All
everyone
right,
doing?
we are now live.
Hey guys.
Hey, we're
Welcome.
excited to be meeting with all of our fellow Simple account holders, Simple users, and we really appreciate you jumping on here with us today and supporting Qube Money. And we truly have. We know that it's not easy, being really
All
uprooted.
right, we are now live.
Hey guys.
We still going?
No, sorry, I accidentally went to our Facebook page and was making sure it was working, and it replayed it, so I will go away from there.
Yeah, but anyways, we know that being uprooted is not easy, and Simple it is an amazing company. And to be honest, it makes us all sad that PNC is closing them down. They've done a lot to help a lot of people, millions of people, get money to behave in a better way. And so, anyways, but we're also excited to be here and share, answer questions and also share our own personal journeys with Simple, so that we can really relate, right, Taylor, Scott?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've
we-
been with I actually have a Simple account still, and I've been with them for about 5 years before I found out about Qube Money and all the cool things that were happening on this side. But yeah, it's a shame. It was one of the first kind of all-inclusive online budgeting apps that really filled a niche in the market when my wife and I were looking for a tool to use. So I feel for everybody out there that's looking for an alternative, because it was a big part of my personal finance life for the past 4 years. So seeing anything like that's had such a large impact kind of fuzzle out and disappear is hard for sure.
Yeah, and you may not know this yet, but Taylor is like a budget geek. He's if there's an app, he's tried it. I think he's got like 40 on his phone right now.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah. I have like folders and subfolders of apps, just because I'm always looking for something that can kind of that does what I need it to do. That's kind of why Qube Money has really excited me, and so much that I joined the team and whatnot. So really cool to be here, and really excited to kind of share how I use Qube Money from the perspective of being such a long time Simple user myself.
Yeah, Scott, how about you? I mean, you visited the headquarters.
Yeah, and I'm excited to share a little bit about my experience too. I'm in the same boat as Taylor, where for years I've been very interested in personal finance apps and budgeting tools, and ultimately met you and Ryan Shane at a conference for personal finance bloggers, because that's my background, and really loved what you guys were doing. And so yeah, super excited to be here. And it's unfortunate that Simple has to shut down, because I really loved what Simple did for its users. It was very user-centric. So excited to dig into this Facebook Live a little bit. And I do want to mention, this is actually the first time we've live streamed to a Facebook group. One thing I didn't notice is some people that are commenting, I'm not actually able to see. It says Facebook user. I can see some people, but I think because of restrictions with Facebook and profile information, it's better if we were to do it on the profile page, but this works for us. So if you guys have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat. We might not be able to see your name, but we can see your questions.
Yeah,
So
it is amazing. So with Simple for a decade, that's incredible.
A decade, yeah.
Wow.
Well, so today what we'd like to do is just share with you how you can use Qube Money like Simple. So to do that, we're going to first give an overview of the Qube Money system, and then we'll implement in that overview how Simple worked and how you can use Qube Money like Simple. Well, you know how Simple worked, but anyway, so let's actually have Taylor. Let's have you start and just talk about the Qube Cloud, and as well as the spend cubes. And do we want to watch the video first, or are we going to just jump right in here, Scott? the cash envelope video?
Yeah, why don't we do
Yeah.
we could do the video first, and then that way it just kind of gives you an overview of what's so unique about Qube in relation to kind of our cash envelope methodology, and then I can kind of hop in and go through how to bring money into the app, that type of a thing.
That sounds great.
Okay, let's do this. I'm going to pull up this video that looks like we've got two Taylors
Yeah, I'll see
here.
if I can like remake it. There you go.
Okay, let's talk cash envelopes. Back in the day, before we could buy the whole world with our index fingers, our grandparents used envelopes to help them keep track of their money. They had to because they didn't have access to debt. So when they were out of money, they were really out of money. So they labeled envelopes for their discretionary spending. Things like groceries, gas, entertainment, vacations. Then they organized their cash into their envelopes. When they went to spend money, they would take money out of the appropriate envelope and make the purchases. This system was simple and it worked. If the gas envelope ran out of money, well, they stopped spending. Or they took money from, say, their entertainment envelopes and spent less on entertainment. So why did cash envelopes work? Simple. They gave every dollar a job. They looked at what money they had before they spent. Their money and their budget were the same thing. So let's fast forward to today. We need this kind of system, but we live in an increasingly cashless society. Did you know that in 2020, consumer debt balance surpassed $14.3 trillion? And that 90% of households over 56 have less than $275,000 in retirement savings. This is scary. So how do we fix this? Let's take a look at the tools on the market today. All the other proclaimed cash envelope budgeting tools track digital spending after the purchase. This completely defeats the purpose of cash envelope budgeting. The real power of changing behavior happens by choosing before you spend. The real power of changing behavior happens by choosing before you spend. That is why we invented Qube Money. It makes the simplest and most effective system, cash envelopes, real and digital for today's world. Qubes, as we like to call them, are your envelopes to organize your money. And just like envelopes, you choose a cube and then the money transfers to your card. You choose a cube and see the available balance before you spend. This is the magic. Then Qube automatically tracks your transactions and budget in real time. Yep, Qube Money is banking and budgeting together, and it's easy. Are you ready to experience real digital cash envelope banking? This system is so effective that once you try it, you'll never go back.
Love it. Love it.
Cool. And I promise I changed shirts. This is a different shirt from the video.
Sure. like you just did that right now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, man.
Hey, and also there was a question about, are we going to do a question and answer for people? And yes, we will at the close of this. So
we're going to do a Q&A during this live session, but we won't be doing another one after this. So if you do have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. We can always go back, tomorrow or later and respond to your questions if you have them.
Cool. Awesome. All right, so why don't we kind of go through, and if Scott, if you want to share the slides for me.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So what I wanted to do is kind of walk everybody through the flow of how you bring money into Qube, how you give every dollar a purpose, and then how you can spend, and how each one of those steps and processes can kind of match what you're used to inside of Simple. So the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to deposit money into Qube, and we give you 5 different ways to do that. So you can do it through direct deposit. You can do it through linking your bank account with Plaid. You can initiate an external transfer from one of your existing bank accounts. You can do an instant transfer using a debit card, or you'll eventually be able to do check deposit, which is coming soon. So that's the first thing. You bring money into the system. And then once that money is in the system, it just kind of stays there in your Qube cloud. And we designed the Qube cloud and we wanted it to be a holding center for your money waiting to be assigned a job, so that every dollar you bring into the system, you give it a specific purpose and intention. And then once you have your money in the Qube cloud, the next step is to create your cubes and then allocate that money to those cubes. And in Qube Money, we have 3 different types of cubes. We have spending cubes, we have savings cubes, and we have bill cubes. So how does this compare to Simple? So I wanted just to kind of walk through how you could utilize the Qube Money system to replicate one of the features that I used most frequently in Simple, which was the idea of your safe to spend. So think of, and see if we can blow up. All right, that looks good, yeah. So think of your cloud balance as your account balance in Simple. Then once you allocate all of your money to your spending cubes, your saving cubes, and your bill cubes, any remaining money that hasn't been given a job yet, what I do is I create a cube called Safe to Spend, and I automatically put that money into the Safe to Spend cube. And that way, I know exactly how much I have, how much money I have that exists outside of my other cubes, and it will automatically decline if all of those funds disappear, right? If I've already spent all the available funds. So what you could do is you can create a cube, you can call it anything you'd like, but if you wanted to really replicate how it is in Simple, you could create a Safe to Spend cube, and then inside that cube, you could turn on the never option, which prevents the cube from automatically closing. So that cube would always remain open, and whenever you swipe your card, it would automatically deduct those funds from that Safe to Spend cube. Cool. Are there any questions or anything on that? Are we doing questions right now, or do we want to hold off on questions until the end?
We'll hold off on questions till the
Okay.
end. Looks like we've got some people asking questions, so we'll definitely get into that.
Cool.
So I appreciate you talking about the cloud and the spend cubes and kind of like our system. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shane. I'm going to be talking about bill cubes and save cubes.
That's correct.
Okay, so really one of the new features that we just released was our bill cubes, and you should have got some information or some notification that says bill cubes are now available. Sorry, I'm trying to get a better setup here. So there we go. Okay, so bill cubes, you could compare them to Simple's expenses, right? So you can create a bill cube for each expense that you have. And once that money's allocated, it is basically set aside for those expenses. Next is we don't quite have savings cubes yet, but we're planning to release those at some point in the near future. No specific dates on that. We do plan to offer high yield savings on those cubes of some form, even though high yield savings right now aren't very high yield, but doing something to help you with those savings goals. So you can think of our savings cubes as Simple's goals. Now, once you have money allocated towards your goals, your expenses, ultimately the goal is to have all of that in an extra Safe to Spend cube. And like Taylor mentioned, the goal is to help you be intentional with each of those spending categories in your life. And then anything extra is in your Safe to Spend cube that you can blow on whatever the heck you want. And it's not spending because you're just like, this is safe to spend. Now, there are some things that we intentionally created that's the philosophy of our system that we don't necessarily want to be like Simple. Like we do want to stay true to our system. We truly think it's really effective, but that's not to take away anything that Simple did. And actually, while we were talking, I wanted to share something with all of our users on here to let them know, I'm a diehard Simple fan, and even to the point where when I was in Portland, Oregon, back in 2018, I decided to visit their headquarters because I was pretty close. And I also wanted to figure out, like, when did I actually become a Simple customer? I couldn't really remember exactly when. I knew it was a while ago. So I looked it up in the App Store, and it was July 31st, 2017. So it's only been about 3.5 years, not as long as some of our other users have been around, but I used it all the time. And I'm going to show you guys this video so you don't think I'm like filling you full of crap.
So I'm in Portland, Oregon right now, and I decided to stop at the headquarters of one of my favorite banks. A bank a lot of you guys probably don't know about, but it's actually called Simple Bank. Now this bank is doing a lot of amazing things, and I'm super excited about what they're doing. You're gonna wanna watch them for the next 5 to 10 years because they're really changing how we do things as consumers with banking. I've mentioned them a couple times in some of my blog posts. But if you would like to sign up, you can check out the link in my bio and get started with your Simple bank account.
So as you can see there, I even talked to some of the employees there and was even inquiring about potentially working for Simple. And they're like, no, we require you to live in Portland. And I'm like, well, I'm not willing to live in Portland. And I'm actually, in hindsight, very glad that didn't work out. I would be in a tough position right now. But that's just, to let everybody know that I really did think that Simple was on the right track, and it's unfortunate. I wish they would be around for another 5 to 10 years, like I talked about in the video, but hopefully Qube is the replacement. I mean, I'm super excited about what Qube is doing and what we're building and the impact. And honestly, I've been using Qube personally for months, and it's made a huge difference in managing our personal finances, even when I had the option to use Simple as well. So anyway, I feel like I've been talking a lot, but where are we going now?
Let's just really quick talk about the offer that we have for Simple users specifically. Okay. And then we've got a ton of questions. I love the questions that are coming in. And I think we ought to discuss what Qube Money is today and what it's going to be in the future, so that Simple users can understand it's not where we may want it. It is amazing right now. It's helped our family save over $10,000 since October 1st when we started using it. It's been really amazing, given really clear awareness of our financial goals. But there's a lot more to come, and so I think we ought to discuss where it is now and where it's going. But let's talk about this. So as a Simple user, here's the offer that Qube Money is giving to each one of you. So there'll be a $50 welcome bonus. That bonus is dependent upon whether you fund your account before March 1st with the transfer from Simple. And it will be 10% of that initial transfer up to $50. You'll need to maintain an account balance of at least $50 by 4/1 and make 5 transactions by 4/1, excuse me. And then that bonus will be paid out by 5/1. So the first thing is you'll get a $50 welcome bonus. But even better than that, we are going to offer a 1-year access or 1-year free access to the premium features. And like, our vision is this, seriously, that you can use other banking organizations. We've seen a lot of like comparisons of other banks to Simple, and I would say that those comparisons will be like the fiat. But you have access to the Tesla or the electronic Porsche for literally the price tag of a Toyota Camry, and where this is going. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, but you're going to have 1 year free access to the premium account, and that starts when the premium account is available, which is coming soon. Companion cards went into beta last week, and we will launch that to the marketplace once we've tested it. With how that works is we test it alpha, then we test it with 50, 100, and as we feel that it is working like it should work, and that there aren't limited number of bugs and so forth, then we'll release that and launch that to everyone. And ultimately, we'll launch to the marketplace after we've released it to everyone that are users currently. In addition to that, you'll have one free access to Qube Masters. And again, that year starts when you create your account. And today you can go sign up for Qube Masters at qubemasters.com and use the code SIMPLE. There's a 14-day free trial where you have access to Waypoint 2, which is how to budget with Qube money. And so there's a trial that you can share with all of your friends. But you, by using the code SIMPLE, will get access to the entire course for a year with that access code. And that access code will be good through Sunday, February 21st. And in general, we actually give a unique coupon code to each Simple user that comes and requests. So, but we're going to make it easy for all of you that are on this Facebook Live to just use all caps SIMPLE, and that will give you a 1-year free access to Qube Masters. And honestly, the value proposition here is worth over $1,000 because as a Simple user, you're also going to have access to live coaching, unlimited sessions with behavior change coaches that have been certified and trained in the Qube Money and Qube Masters philosophy. And we've utilized the behavior change experts of the world to create that course. And so in 5-minute lessons, you can transition or change bad behavior, financial behavior, to good financial behavior for life. And it works. So anyways, that's the offering. And our challenge to each one of you is to implement Qube Money in a portion of your life. First, Krish and I, we used it for our groceries and our fuel and our dates. And we loved it. And so now today we use it for all of our sync funds and all of our discretionary spending. So we put thousands of dollars a month through Qube Money. And like I said, it has literally helped us save over $10,000 in the last 5 months. It's been incredible. And my wife loves it because it creates real-time awareness and it implements the principles that James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits of making true behavior, correct behavior, habit. And it's truly been transformational for us. So those are the offerings, and that's what we'd invite you to do. So let's actually go in, and I think I can answer a bunch of questions just kind of by sharing where Qube Money is today, and then our vision of where it's going to go in the future. And Taylor, Scott, when you want to, do you want to jump in really quick first?
I was just going to say, we've got questions I can pull up on the screen so that we're all on the same page and we can discuss each of those starting from the first questions. So if you wanted to jump into frequently asked questions and all that, let's do it.
Go ahead and pull that up. But what I saw is like the safe to spend, always open Qube. So we have done a really quick, just a second, with all the efforts.
Okay, so like I said, some of these people, it just says Facebook user, but it shouldn't matter. We should still be able to answer your question. And then it looks like we understand that you still have your own
roadmap
cut off. And
it's your own. I read this question while you guys were talking. Scott, you may answer to this. What are some simple features that we don't plan on including in Qube Money long term?
No, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of banks out there trying to court simple refugees. And I think what we'll always stay true to is our default zero technology and our proactive spend method, where we want that to be at the core of everything that we're doing to help people budget. That's not, I mean, that's a patented technology and we own that, and that's not going to change. And I think if we wanted to enable anybody like to go and spend, you know, we could offer features like the default open Qube, and that's actually something I should have talked about, and maybe we could answer some questions about that, is we have enabled a default open Qube. to help simple users that just want to use one Qube as their total spending or safe to spend. There are some issues with it. Like if you try to open up another Qube right now, it's going to close that Qube, you know? So you have to keep those things in mind. We are trying to make it simple for simple users, but at the same time, I think we'll stay core to our mission and our values on what we want to offer. I mean, things like high yield savings, yes, we want to offer that. Things like mobile check deposit, we want to offer that as well. But I think our core will always stay the same.
Yeah, and with the default open Qube, currently it is clunky where if you open another Qube, it closes that default open Qube, and then you have to go reopen it to never. Ultimately, so that's where we're at right now. We did that as an immediate solution. Because to be honest, there's lots of couples where one's a budgeter and the other's not. And the one that's not is like, I will never use that. But if they had a default open Qube, they'll use it. And then the partner that is a budgeter will go and categorize the one that's not transactions. That's actually the situation a lot. So there was more of a need for that than just for simple users. But ultimately, long term, how that default open Qube is going to work is it literally will be open. If you open another Qube that you want to spend for say fuel, it will open that, and once the transaction goes through and the fuel Qube closes, which it automatically does, right, it will reopen the default open Qube. So that's our long-term solution so it really will be a great user experience. And when you set that default open Qube as default open, it will open even if you open another Qube, and it closes. Only one Qube can be open at a time. I will say that. But when you do open another Qube, as soon as it closes, that default open Qube will open up automatically on its own. So long term, that's the solution for that.
Okay, should we jump into another question? Or Taylor, want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just going to share. So I found out about Q Money back in the proactive days, and I've kind of been using it ever since then. And since November, my wife and I both use it. And one of the strategies that we've been using as we anxiously wait, like I'm sure many of you are, for the companion cards, is we utilize Apple Pay or Google Pay. So what that looks like is I will have the Apple Pay loaded on my iPhone, and I'll give the actual physical card to my wife. And then that way she can use the app on her phone to spend, and I can use the app on my phone to spend, because 99% of the way I spend money is through like contactless payments anyways. So that's a strategy that we're kind of using to remedy the lack of companion cards. But really excited for those companion cards, like I'm sure most of you are, to be available.
Yeah, and that's what we do too, Taylor. That's how Chris and I have handled it, and it's worked great. We just log into the same app with the same credentials, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
We log into credentials, and then I have her card in my Apple Pay, and she carries the physical card. But you know what's funny is she's actually started to use Apple Pay a lot more, because it's like you don't have to take out a card, with child in your hands, you just so but it's
Kenzie and I are the same way. We do that, but we do have to let users know that we are beta testing or alpha testing joint accounts right now. So like those are coming. So like we've already said, get ready. So if you've got a companion or a spouse, make sure they have their own individual account first. Let's throw up another question.
Sure.
So can we not spend from the cloud? How does that work?
Well, so I can answer that. The cloud is not, the purpose of the cloud is not to spend from it. So the cloud is meant to be a holding tank for money that you have not yet given a job. And ultimately, Qube Money is going to be able to do bill pay, bill Qube, subscriptions, all of that. And so there will be a place for all those dollars. And one of the things I love about Qube is I can actually Venmo people, peer-to-peer transfer people inside of my budget. And I do it all the time. So I actually share money with my son, because he's 18 and has his own Qube card, and he'll buy gas in our cars, in our family cars, and then he just sends me a text, and I, send it from the fuel Qube directly to him, and so it's keeping within our budget. So there won't be any reason long term to spend from the cloud, but you do, like when you transfer money out of Qube into your bank, like do an external transfer from Qube into your bank, it comes from your cloud. And right now, I know, Scott, you're paying your bills, and it's coming from your cloud. But again, it's not meant to do that. And right now, I'm not real happy with how we're handling the transaction history in the cloud. It's not giving the awareness, like it's not ledgering it like I want to ledger. Again, that's going to change shortly, so that the ledgering between all of your different types of Qubes and the cloud will all match, and then you also have the ability to search all your transactions, have your account balances, all those kind of things are coming. But yeah, so the cloud, you can spend from it, I guess, but ultimately you'll be able to do ACH transfers out of Qube through bill pay. Another company will be able to pull money ACH out of Qube in your bill Qubes, and then someone can have your card and pull money through a card transaction out of bill Qubes. And the cool thing about the bill Qubes is it's a 1-to-1 ratio with bill to vendor. And the first time you match the dollar amount, and once that dollar amount is matched, we record the payment or the vendor payment ID. And so from then moving forward, if the vendor payment ID matches, it will allow that transaction to come out automatically as long as there's enough money in the Qube. And if there's not, it will decline it and notify you, hey, there was insufficient funds, or maybe the vendor payment ID didn't match, and it'll notify you so you can rectify that, to make sure that comes through. But anyways, bill Qubes are like really cool because nowhere else in the world, if somebody has your card number and they come and take the money from you, you don't have, as a user, you can't stop that. They have that power, and they'll take the money when they want to. And the same thing with ACH pools. In ACH pushes, you're controlling whether you're ACHing that money. So that's the same. But in those scenarios where they're ACHing, pooling money from your account, or they have your card number, but with our bill Qubes, you can actually, right in the settings, pause that transaction or pause that automatic payment. And from there forward, it will decline it. It'll notify you that it declined it if you want it to still go through. But you can pause it in-app, and it prevents them from being able to do that. So, and then you can call the company and cancel that subscription or whatever, or that payment. But honestly, if they can't pull money after a while, they'll quit trying. So
yeah, and that is how bill Qubes work.
Yep, that's how bill Qubes work. So
yeah, and just
as far as spending from the cloud, ultimately, I don't spend from the cloud because its purpose is to be money that I don't use.
Yep.
That I'm allocating into Qube before I do.
Yeah, and I'll just give a rundown really quick of how I use it. So like I'm fully integrated to Qube. I pay all of our bills, our mortgage, everything through Qube. We don't publicize that. We don't necessarily recommend it right now. It's mostly for discretionary spending, but any ACH transfers come out of the cloud. Now I did just get bills set up with bill Qubes recently, and so those are going through, but ultimately my goal is to have a zero balance in the cloud, right? Like all money is divided up, it's given a purpose, and then I know if anybody tries to, increase a bill on me, it's going to get declined. So yeah, it's not meant to be spent out of, but you can right now, I guess, via ACH.
Yeah. Hey, and Scott, one of the things I think is a lot of people want to know, are you going to be able to automate your budget? Because right now you can't, right? Right now, each time you have to go in and manually input what you want to fund each Qube with, and then execute that allocation plan. But no, that's going to change. So all of the funding of Qubes, you can completely automate in the future. That will be one of the features that you can actually automate it. Like money comes in, and at certain dates of the month, you want this allocation plan to happen. it will do that without you having to do anything. Or you can set up plans where you can just pull up a saved plan and fund it and not have to put any numbers in because you've already done it once and you saved the plan. So you're going to have both options. And the kind of cool with the planning screen, and we're going to call it, I think, ultimately the funding screen. There's different types of budgeters. Budgeting is actually really quite unique to each individual. Some people, have money, and they take that block of money and they fund their cubes for the whole next month. Some people are planning as they go, and they're allocating money as needed. Some people build up cubes every month. Other people just fill up their cube to their budget amount every month. So there's going to be some really cool interactions in the funding so that it meets all those different types of budgeting styles. So you can do it as you want to do it and what works for you. And ultimately, right now, things are based on a month, budgeting based on a month. But you're going to be able to create funding plans that are based on a week or every 2 weeks or twice a month or whatever way you fits your budgeting style and your plan. So
cool. Let's throw up another one. I know, Taylor, maybe you want to take this one?
Yeah, let me see. So we have a reserve goal in simple that offers a buffer if we go beyond our safe to spend. And I think that works well for us because there's money there and our safe to spend gets restored on the next paycheck. We don't have to worry about
it. Permanently lower reserve. Is there a way to set that up in Qube?
Yeah, so the way that I use Qube, the way I budget is I give every dollar a job, and that's kind of like super critical to the way that I allocate all of my cubes. And so at the end of my funding periods, I get paid twice a month. So I'm kind of on the monthly schedule type. And so I'll have at the beginning of the month, I'll go in, I'll allocate all of the money to my cubes, and then any extra money that we take in for that month that's kind of outside our normal income, I put into this safe to spend extra type cube, and I just leave it open. And that way we can, if we're out at the store picking up something or wherever we are, we can kind of just use the funds from that category. And I know because it's open, I'm not affecting any of the other cubes that I have set up. So that's kind of the way that we utilize the safe to spend. And then in terms of a reserve, we don't really have a reserve, so to speak, because all of our money is already set up. So I know that, if I have a savings cube that I'm funding every month, that's for vacation or something. I know how much money is kind of going into that. And does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the way that Qube kind of handles the money for us is that it's very intentional, and so you don't really have to worry about going over, because when you swipe the card, if you don't have a cube selected, you can't spend. So there's no way to accidentally kind of go into another cube's reserve or funds, because you have to make that purchasing decision before you go to spend. And that's kind of like when I first started doing that was kind of like a mind shift thing, because I was so used to kind of spending and then categorizing my transactions 2 or 3 days later, and kind of worrying about, okay, did I overspend? Did I not overspend? That type of a thing. And once you use Qube, and it really eliminates that after the fact thinking, because everything is handled in the moment. And it's really kind of like, I don't know if the word's relieving, but it reduces stress, and it's just like, wow, I know exactly where my money is at exactly the right moment, and I can make the best decision possible. So that's kind of probably been the biggest change that Qube has had in kind of the way that my wife and I do our finances, is that it's so immediate and it's so in the moment, that you never really have to worry about going over in other areas, because that's the way the system was set up and designed to do.
Cool. And we've got a lot of questions coming in. Um, so
So we are going to answer those. Can I ask, just share one
Yeah.
thing that's kind of cool? So bill cubes are a unique thing because they have, if you don't have the money in the bill cube, it will decline because for that vendor payment item, right? But so Drew and I were talking actually about midnight last night, talking about how we could help people have awareness but make it easy, especially with bills. And there will be an overdraft bill cube that will be kind of an overflow for all your bills. So if you were a couple of dollars off, you will be able to have an overdraft bill cube that it will draw from that to make sure it covers your bill and it doesn't decline, and you don't have to worry about it. And I was like, that's brilliant. That's really cool. And it was actually Drew's idea. He goes, man, that's going to work, and it will really make so that it makes it easy, because some of our bills are variable, like our power bill, and we put in the same amount because we know how much we spend a month on average. But man, in August, if we've had a really hot summer, we spend a lot of money on power, and August could get over what we've put in January, February, March, April, right? And so having that overdraft bill cube would take care of if it was $100 over what we thought it would be after building it up in January, February, March. So anyways, kind of some cool things there.
I threw this question up there, Shane, while you were talking, because you were basically answering that question about fluctuating amounts and variable amounts. And it sounds like we're learning stuff every day, even as employees. This overdraft cube, I'm like, never even heard of that. So
yeah. So instead of it being from the cloud, because again, the cloud is sacred money. You haven't given it a job yet, so you want to keep that for future. But you can designate money to go into the overdraft bill cube that will pull it for if it's more than you expected. But even if it does decline, it will instantly notify you, and you'll be able to pay that bill. You know what I mean? You'll be able to process that payment.
So here's another question about bill cubes. Is money automatically pulled for bill cubes, or do we have to manually fund it every month or whatever other cycle the bill is on? If it isn't, are there plans to do this?
So right now, everything you manually fund all of your cubes currently. The next generation planning screen, which we're actually doing a focus group because man, budgeting and planning are like seriously so unique per person, and people are passionate about the way they do it. So, but ultimately, it will be automatically pulled to fund all your cubes if you want to, and so it'll automatically be pulled from the cloud to fund those cubes, and then those cubes or those bill cubes will automatically allow the bill payments to come through as they process.
What was cool is with the recent bills that I set up, I noticed it sent me a notification like 2 or 3 days before, and it said, hey, you've got this bill coming up. So that way, even if it wasn't funded, I got that reminder like, oh yeah, I need to go in and make sure that I have that bill cube funded. But yeah, like you said, hopefully long term, it's all automated.
It will be. Not hopefully. It will be.
It will be. Okay, let's see. Let's find another question here. Let's try to get, I guess with the few minutes we've got left, we'll try to do rapid fire and get through as many of these as we can. So, all right, we may have already answered this one. Can cubes be automatically funded on a biweekly schedule, or do we need to manually move the funds to each cube?
Right, manual, but ultimately it's going to be automatic.
Yeah, and I guess it's worth mentioning too about that on the planning screen. Yes, you have to manually add money to your cubes, but the planning screen makes it so easy to where you can just add in to 100 cubes the dollar amount you want to go into each cubes, and then you just hit fund cubes, and boom, it just sends a transfer to all of those cubes on one screen. So yes, it's manual, but it's still a pretty cool concept to make like multiple transfers at once.
Yeah, and I'm probably unique to this, but even if it was auto, I would still want a manual, just because I like to always kind of look at my budget and be required to go in and make sure that I'm allocating funds to the right spots. And I know that there's even when I had Simple, I would often turn off that automated function just because it was kind of like discipline for me to kind of go back every month and make sure that all of my categories and budget items were up to snuff. So it's great that we'll have both options, but it just kind of goes to show you how we're trying to make Qube as differentiated for all the different types of budgeters that are out there.
For sure.
Yeah, there's a few things that create intention, just real fast. The one is allocating funds, and that actually makes you aware. It's really important part of budgeting, although we will make it for automated for those who want it. And then the second is to look before you spend. Look at your budget before you spend. That's why we have the default zero. That's why we have the proactive spending methodology. Those two things change behavior. And actually, if you go read Atomic Habits by James Clear, he actually identifies those are the kind of things that truly change behavior. So I, like you, Taylor, that's what saved us 10 grand in the last 5 months, is those two things. And we can do it in less, it's instantaneously, and allocating funds takes us less than 5 minutes. And because my wife and I are on the same app, we discuss things as we go, but it doesn't take us the hour to 2 hours to 3 hours to 4 hours. It actually was 4 hours to get on the same page financially without Qube.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing, and we don't argue about money at all. It's like we're in sync.
So in this next one, roundups. This user would like to know, is that going to be a feature?
Yes. Yep, it is.
Okay.
And you can actually round up that money to go to whatever Qube you choose. So if you choose the roundup option, it'll ask you where do you want that money rounded up to.
Cool.
So
this one about spending cubes, bill cubes, to have a similar screen where you can see all of them in one place. Because I think they get lost in the planning screen, right?
Yeah, just talked about that. So ultimately, guys, how that's going to look is when you go to the planning screen, it's going to show your cloud balance, and then your spend cubes, bill cubes, like it's just one line item with a total amount. And if you click on that, it'll drop down your bill cubes. So you can see your bill cubes. Because to be honest with you, the way you plan for bills is different than the way you plan for spend cubes. And the way you plan for spend cubes is different than the way you plan for save cubes. So each one of them will have a unique interaction, similar, very, very same look and feel, but you want different information as you plan for those things. So, yeah. I agree, too. It gets lost.
Okay, how does Qube work for annual bills such as real estate tax or annual homeowners insurance?
I can answer that.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
It depends on if those annual payments come out automatically. I don't have any annual payments that come out automatically, but I pay for my life insurance annually. I pay for my home auto insurance semi-annually. And so what I do is I fund the Qube with, this is crazy, but $500 a month because I have 3 teenage drivers. So anyways, $500 a month for auto insurance, and we pay about $3,000 every 6 months. But it just builds up 500, 500, 500, 500, and I watch it grow. And then every 6 months, I pay up. I actually can pay with my debit card, so I pay that with my debit card. But if I set it up as a bill Qube, and they did it automatically, I would interact exact same way. I would budget money each month for that bill, and then that payment, if the payment vendor ID matched, it would automatically take that $3,000 and pay for that every 6 months if you had it automated. Otherwise, it's kind of acts like a sink fund where you're building it up, you're paying it off, and ultimately, I'll put that in high yield savings for the 6 months. Why not? And then transfer it into a spending Qube with the toggle. Just touch the toggle to change from savings to spending, and pay the bill.
And Shane, I think people might have gotten the wrong idea that you only have 3 kids. How many kids do you have again?
Yeah, we have a lot of kids, but teenage drivers are expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay, let's see. I can answer this one. Any thoughts on extending the lifetime subscription deadline for us simple people just starting out to get our stuff together? So I have to say, I feel really bad for simple users on this end because the lifetime membership promotion has been around for a year before we ended it. And we've had, back from our proactive budget days, we had people that bought a lifetime membership years ago when you guys did the proactive budget. So a lot of our users have seen the lifetime membership promotion, 2 times. And we've extended it a couple other times, but we made it very clear that this time we were ending it and we weren't going to be extending it. Did we know Simple was going to shut down and we were going to get a bunch of people show up in a month? No, we had no idea. As of right now, though, we don't have any plans to extend the lifetime membership. Could it change? I don't know. But we don't have any.
Scott doesn't have that power.
No, I don't.
to make that.
But I want to help you guys out, so we'll see what we can do.
Like really, in the end, like seriously, you'll be getting a Tesla for a Camry price. I mean, really, really will. So.
Okay, is the companion account live? If not, when will it be live? So I think we kind of touched on this. We're in alpha beta testing right now, but Shane, I don't know if you want to answer the last part of that question.
I project that it will be live as long as there's not any big hiccups. But we're feeling comfortable right now with how the alpha is working and so forth to say that this is going to be available for everyone by the middle of March.
Cool.
So, but that doesn't mean we'll launch it. We'll keep it in beta probably for another month or so to be making tweaks and to make it exactly the way we want. You want it the way we want it to work, and then we'll launch that this summer, like with big raw influencers, all sorts of things to participate in that.
And maybe we could mention how we plan to do beta testing going forward to answer this question, because in the past, anybody that was a part of our Facebook group, they were our beta testers. They were helping us, improve features. Since we've launched officially, we've kind of moved away from that to where everybody that's in the Facebook group right now, you don't have to be a customer. You don't have to be a beta tester. It could be a place that you come and learn from other people if you're deciding, hey, do I want to use Qube Money as my bank? But going forward, we will have specific groups of beta testers that you would need to request to join. So if you want to be an actual beta tester and give us real feedback on our app, I know there's a number of people from Simple that are like wanting to be real beta testers. Just send an email to hello@qubemoney.com and we'll make sure that you get added to one of the groups of beta testers.
And thanks for wanting to be a part of that. That's awesome. I appreciate that a lot.
Okay, let's see. This one shows up for some reason, so we know who this is. She said, "Oh gosh, I thought the Qube Master started with the code, so we've lost time since we created our account. Though hopefully 3 weeks or so won't matter." You guys want to touch that?
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Okay.
But I would suggest go through it. I mean, the course, because it's organized in 5-minute lessons, you can really get done with the course in a month. But the nice thing is to have access. These early ones are going to have access to the coaching, which is amazing, really is amazing, and help you fully achieve financial health and financial freedom, ultimately, with the steps to developing a structurally sound financial house, things like that. So
cool.
Okay. Do you guys want to answer that question about
Go
FPU?
ahead, Tim. I've talked.
Yes, sure. So FPU is a great course. I've been through it. My wife, several years ago, was offered at our church, and when Shane and I kind of got together and decided, what we wanted to do with Qube Masters. Ultimately, we created Qube Masters because it is hyper-focused on making you as efficient and as successful as possible with a Qube Money system. And so it's available on any device. We really wanted to make sure that it was accessible in small increments of time. One of the things that was challenging for my wife when we were going through FPU a while ago, we had a baby at the time, and there were very long lessons. And so it was challenging for us to kind of go through and absorb all the material. So Qube Masters Think of it as 5-minute bite-sized lessons that you can pick up on your phone, whether you're out in your car waiting for your kids for practice. And it focuses on changing behavior, how to kind of analyze and look at how you spend money, what your relationship with money is, and then also really focused on discovering your purpose for money. So, you know, we all have unique talents and that we're good at, and how can we align our money and our spending to bring those talents and those values out? So we focus a lot on that as well. But the best way to experience Qube Masters is to sign up and go through the free trial. It's available on our website for 14 days. You can sign up for an account. And if you're a Simple user, you can use the code SIMPLE to get access to it for free for a year.
Let me add just a little bit onto that.
Yeah.
So this
Man,
book, I keep on referring.
You should be getting paid to promote this book.
But anyways, James Clear is like the world leader in behavior change, and he talks about motivation in this book, and it doesn't work. People aren't motivated. Our habits, our behaviors, are a result of who we believe we are, and who we believe we are is completely dependent upon what we do on a daily basis. So, like if I say I'm a healthy person and I eat healthy and exercise, I prove to myself day after day that that's indeed who I am. All right? One of the core things about change that we really implement in this course, and then the second thing is environment is the invisible hand that changes behavior, that guides human behavior. Environment. And so we really help people understand how to create an environment where they can succeed. Everyone wants to be financially free. We all have the same goal. The difference between those that achieve it and don't is the system that they follow. And that system is creating an environment structured for success. That's what Qube Masters is. Wouldn't you say, Taylor?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, a couple more. We'll try to get through a bunch of these questions pretty quick. Will you ever have it available on the website, not only in the app? Yes. Do you plan to offer a watch for iOS?
Yes.
Yes. If you have, oh, this isn't a question. If you have Apple Pay, it's working for us now. Awesome. Good job. Let's see. Will you have a tutorial set up? The planning screen isn't very intuitive as it is right now. We know.
Yeah. Yes,
we will. There's a lot of changes right now too, when we release new features, and sometimes it's like, do we, produce a good video right now and then have to make changes? Because right now we're actually working on a redesign for the planning page. So let's see. I'm just scrolling through some of these. Sorry if we can't get to all these questions, but we will do our best to respond to them afterwards. Is there a way we could have two categories, one for variable expenses and one for sinking funds? I don't know.
Interesting. Hey, that's really good feedback, actually. I agree with that. I really agree with that. That in the spending cubes, some are sink funds and some are variable. And it's really a good comment. I'll take that to the drawing board.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
With joint accounts, is it one account or two separate bank accounts? So it's actually two separate. It's a little bit different than the way Simple did it. It's actually two separate.
But it brings them together.
But yes.
It brings them
when
together.
you log into it, it looks like you're only seeing one account.
Yep. But the two separate bank accounts allows you to have private cubes and shared cubes. So some couples want to be able to keep some things separate, some things private, and you'll have the ability to do that as a couple.
Okay, let me see. Just make sure. So somebody wants to make sure for the 10% Simple transfer incentive, just to make sure we simply transfer from Simple after linking the account and just meet the requirements until 4/1. No need to enter any special promo code or anything. Yes, we know if your first transfer into Qube is from is from Simple. Don't make the mistake that I did and just send $1 over the first time, because we do actually have a few people that sent $1 over the first time, and that's only going to be 10 cents. So if you've never made a transfer from Simple to Qube, yeah, make it $500 at least. Let's see. Not that I was planning to, get the incentive anyway, but whatever. Okay, I think that's it. There's still a ton of questions, but we'll get to them today, and hopefully we can continue the conversation around Simple users. I did see somebody ask, like, are you guys overwhelmed with, all the Simple users now pounding on us like, hey, we need this feature, and we're a new company just starting out? Yeah, a little bit, but it's fine. I think it's helping us understand that, hey, there's a lot of other use cases. We want to stay core to what we're doing, but we really want to help you guys, in any way that we can. And hopefully one of our users, who was it that said it? Can't remember his name, but he's like, Simple or Qube is what I always thought or wanted Simple to be. It helps me be really intentional with my spending. And, it really does have the power to help you reach your financial goals and spend less and avoid over, spending on other items, and bring harmony between you and your spouse, or your partner. There's a lot of things to come. There's so many good things to come to. Like, this is just the surface. We're just getting started, and we're super excited to have everybody, here that's with us already. And hopefully, you'll give us a chance. You'll go make one purchase. Like, if you haven't deposited money into Qube, go deposit, instant deposit up to $250. Go make your first transaction today with Apple Pay if you don't want to wait for your card. You can start spending with Qube money today. Get money in, go make a purchase, and just see if it's not like life-changing and helps you be more financially aware. And there's more to come, but ultimately that's what we want to challenge you guys to do today.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, I'll just add to that. We realize that there needs to be more tours and more education, and we're really working on that. But those people who jumped in, the users that have jumped in and just figured it out, because it isn't that hard to figure out, but to figure it out and have actually followed the Qube methodology, it's made massive, saved thousands of dollars, even in their first month. And that is the truth, because it really does change behavior. And I challenge people to say, well, man, I have my rewards card, and I get all these points, and I get free flights with Southwest and so forth. And I said, I did all that too. But you know what? The intention that Qube Money has given, we're going to commit 6 months of just following it like it is, not use rewards cards, things like that. And 10,000 compared to a few $100s in rewards. Like, it's like changed. I'm like, I get it. I overspent when I paid with credit cards. Even if I get points, even with the companion card with Southwest, it doesn't compare to what it's done for us. So anyways, I challenge you to use it as it is. Pay the price to figure it out, because I know it's a little harder right now, but it really is amazing, and you'll find a massive difference in your financial position. And here I have a boy coming in.
Taylor, any final words to send us off?
Yeah, so just to kind of follow up on what Shane was saying, guys, my wife was big on the Target rewards and the 5% back and all these incentives that credit card companies kind of get you for, and they give those rewards for reasons because it gets you to spend more. And I am in the last year we've saved over about $20,000 using Qube, and there's no way that any credit card company would be able to give me points or rewards for that. So I know it's a little bit different water stepping into kind of a debit card type scenario with no credit cards, but once you kind of take that leap of faith and go through the system, it just pays immense dividends back, and it's totally worth it.
Definitely agree. That was a hard one for me to give up, but I'm seeing some good results so far. So
Totally.
Okay, well, thanks everyone that joined us today. We appreciate you taking some time out of your afternoon. And anybody that's watching this later, please feel free to send questions in the Facebook group, or reach out to our support. We really want to help you guys get integrated. So with that, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep.